Good.
Recording. Yep.
Great. All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming to our Drupal Knowledge Sharing Session, our fourth episodes of these. We do these to try to help some of our campus partners figure out how to work in Drupal and all of the tips and tricks that go along with that. So this is the Marketing Communications Web Support team that will be running this today, Mariah Donahue. You just saw, she's our web marketing support manager. Ashley Dill, who's actually in another meeting right now. Hopefully she'll be joining us later. She's our senior content specialist. Diana Fiorentino, she's our internal communications manager. I don't know if Diana's on here yet. And me, I'm Julia. I'm the director of digital comms and content strategy here. So we are looking forward to this. There's a lot of information to get through today. We are going over all of the different blocks and boxes in Drupal when you're setting up a page and kind of how to use them, what they look like, how you'd set them up, what you'd use one for more than another. So that's going to include everything from, we call it the promo image or the hero image at the top. That's the big image on the top of a page. And then all of those different boxes and blocks that I'm sure you've all, seen or used some way. Body text, highlight boxes and rotating highlight boxes, featured links, timely box. They sort of look alike, but they're used kind of differently. An accordion for lots of information, a quote block for calling out something that somebody said, facts and figures, social media, the blocks that are on most landing pages, like the news, announcements, calendar, media coverage, how to use those, open and close them. If you want to choose to have just a couple or a lot of different features on those. Profiles or student spotlights, the media pane, and then anything else that we can think of or that maybe you can all think of too that you might have questions about. We have a lot to cover today, so if you don't mind putting the questions in the chat and we'll go over them at the end. We're not ignoring you or anything. It's just we want to make sure that we get through a lot of information. When we did this on Friday, we went right up, actually we went over, so we just want to try to make sure we use our time wisely.
Thank you, Julia. So first we're going to jump into what a Drupal page template looks like. For example, if you submitted a CMS help ticket and you're looking for a new page, what you can expect that page to look like and how to work from there. So first in this screenshot here, you can see we have two sections. The first section includes the title of the page, and then we also have an option to add a subtitle, and then our hero image, also known as a promo image. And then in the second section, you'll see you have a two-column layout here with 67% over here and then 33% here. So we have the value proposition or the body taking up this side. Then you will have your menu, also known as your navigation. This can include internal subpages, as well as the contact box. The contact box is going to pull the contact information from the group that the page belongs to. So for example, this page belongs in the marketing communications group in Drupal. So by default, it's pulling information such as we're located in Boynton Hall and our contact information. Julia, is this your slide?
Yep.
Thank
Thanks,
you. Sorry,
Mariah.
I almost jumped right into it.
No, that's okay. Thanks. So one of the things we did want people to know about, and I'm sure you all know this, is when you are building a brand new page, that's something that we will help you with. Campus partners can't just go into Drupal and set up a blank page, but there are some certain things that we would ask. So when you're setting up the page, what you'll notice as we go through today is the page title and the exact location within the navigation of the site remain the same across the pages. We like to go for consistency so that when users come to the website, they're looking at it not just at your pages, but as the whole. So we really aim for some consistency. So before we can build your page, we want to have some of the content so we can look at it and make sure that there's enough content and that it sort of has the right target and approach to it. So for instance, the value prop that's the sort of thing you want in that little area in the introduction. You want to talk about the main focus of what your page is. You want to talk to your audience and who that might be and think about what would excite them, what they would want to read more about. It kind of gives them an intro to what your pages are all about. And you want to think about what kind of image would do the same sort of thing. So when you send all of that information into the help desk, they will start to build that according to some of the content blocks, which you'll start to learn about today, so that you can say, I'd like this content in a highlight box. Here's an image that will go with that. The biggest thing that we would like to let people know about, or one of the biggest things, in the sections 1 and 2, when you saw those on the previous page, those will remain as they look like on. Mariah, would you mind going back to that one just so I can, yeah. So where it says new page template and title, and then there's the image right under that, the value prop, those are all going to stay standard. So when you put your content in, you don't want to put any content above where it says new page template titles, that title area. You don't want any content above that. You don't want any images above that. The same with the photo. You want to leave the photo on your landing page. Not every page has an image. The value prop, you want to have that same sort of thing there. So you don't want to put a highlight box where there's that value prop information that will push down the menu and it will change the entire layout of the whole page. Thanks, Maria. So we just
Thank
want to,
you.
as we're going through this, those are just some things to keep in mind.
Thanks, Julia. On the site menu, it's important to note that all pages on wpi.edu are strategically positioned within our top level structure. So, for example, if you own your offices page, it will be categorized under our offices section. So, for example, marketing communications is located underneath offices, and then any subpages can also have their own subpages, but whatever is at the top is considered your group's landing page. It's also important to remember that only internal pages can be linked in the page menu or navigation. So this is pages that are located on wpi.edu. So next we're going to jump into Drupal and start looking at some of the most commonly used blocks. And before we go over into Drupal, I just want to cover a few background things so that we don't go over it over and over. So first, something that you'll see a lot is block actions. Every block has a menu of actions to choose from. There's about 5. So the first one is configure. This is to edit the block. The next is move. We can use this to move the block to a different section, or we could also drag and drop the block within the page. Next is remove, to delete the block. The content within the block will be completely gone once you save the layout of the page, but if you discard, then it's not going to remove the block. Next is to hide or unhide the block. This is called toggle hidden. So this will either hide it or unhide it. Next, we have the ability to clone a block. So we'll go through these when we hop over into Drupal. Next is our image properties. I just want to cover some details about images so that we can upload one image together, but then for the rest of the blocks, we'll use any images that are already in the Drupal media library. So when we upload an image, we'll have 2 fields. First is the alternative text. Alternative text is a short description of an image that's used by screen readers, and it's displayed when the image is not loaded. This is crucial for web accessibility, and it helps to make sure that images are meaningful and accessible to all of our users, including users that have visual impairments. This field is required when you upload an image, so it will not enter the Drupal media library without the alternative text. The next field is an optional field. This is the caption. This is going to be displayed underneath the image wherever it's pulled in Drupal. So if you're displaying the image on a block on another page, it's still going to pull in the same caption that is associated with the image. In our last Drupal knowledge sharing session, we went over Drupal media such as photos, videos, and documents. So we've linked that tutorial, sorry, not this tutorial, the recording of the last session here. So let's hop over into Drupal. So I have this blank page here that maybe if you requested a page from CMS Help, this is what you will see. So we have the View, Edit, and Layout tabs here. So if I go into the Edit tab, that's where I have the subtitle of the page, hero image, and the body. If you need to change the title of your page, please submit a ticket to CMS Help and we can update the title of the page for you. But you do have the ability to change your subtitle, hero image, and body or value proposition. So I have those fields filled out. So in the hero image, I'm going to click Add Media. So now we can go over uploading an image into the media library. So first, this is what is the Drupal media library. I can see all of these images here from either that I've uploaded myself or other users have uploaded. If I want to upload an image from my computer, I'm going to click Choose Files, and that will open my computer's Finder. And I will choose an image to upload. Let's see what I have. I think I'll choose this one of Atwater Kent. So if I click open, then you can see this little red asterisk here saying that the alternative text is required. So this is WPI's Atwater Kent building. And then I can provide a caption if I'd like. So I will just write caption here so we can see how that's pulled in. When I click save, we'll see that the image has been uploaded to the Drupal media library. It's checked off. I can click insert selected, and now it's uploaded as my hero image. So first I'm going to save this and see that my hero image has been successfully added to my page. Next over there is the value proposition. This is a standard body text editor. You have all of the options such as bold, italicize, special characters. If you want to insert a hyperlink, you can add images in the standard text editor, change the justification of the text, etc. We also have another tab over here called Contact and Social Media. So this will give you some hints too in case you forget from the trainings. But the contact and social media information is going to be inherited from the topmost page, or it's being inherited from the group's contact information. So if I fill out these fields here, it's going to override that information that's coming from the group if necessary. I also have this checkbox here that's going to hide the box and the social media links if so desired. So if I filled these out, then it will replace the information that we saw in the contact box with the information I'm providing to override. Now let's go into the layout. So in our first Drupal knowledge sharing session, we go over the basics of navigating Drupal. And in that session, we explain the difference between using edit and layout. But quickly, I just like to refer to the edit tab as like the settings of the page. We're looking at the subtitle, the value proposition, and the hero image. So these are the first important elements of the page, but then in the layout tab is where we can add sections and add our different blocks, play around with highlight blocks, buttons, and that sort of thing. So if I go into the layout, now we can see what it looks like behind our title, hero image, and value prop. So this is why we describe this as a Drupal page template, because this is the way that it is configured by default when our team creates these pages. So if you'd like to add some extra blocks, let's click on Add Section. So we have the option to add a 1-column, 2-column, or a 3-column section. For these demonstration purposes, I'm going to stick to 1 column, but I do encourage you to explore different column options to see how the different blocks look. So first I'm going to click on 1 column. I'm going to keep all of the settings for the section as default. I'll click Add Section. Now I have this Add Block option. So if I click Add a Block, I have a few options here. I can either choose one of the dynamic blocks, such as an announcements block, calendar, or news, or I can go over into content block. Most of the blocks that we'll explore today are content blocks. These ones here, announcements, campus calendar, and news, are what you would use to display that information. We also went over all of this dynamic content in Drupal Knowledge Sharing Session number 2. So if I click Create Content Block, the first one we're going to go over is our most commonly used block, which is the body text. It is probably the most commonly used for a good reason. It's a standard text editor. So first we have the title. All blocks that you add to the page are going to require a title. However, if you don't necessarily want a title, you do have the option to toggle this here so that the title does not show. But I will keep this displayed for our demonstration. I also have an optional subtitle and then the body. Just like the value prop, like we saw over there, this is going to be, this standard text editor here is going to be common in a lot of our blocks. So you have the same options that you would have if you were writing in a Word document, writing in an email, etc. So once I fill that out and everything looks good, I'll click Add Block, and now the block is added to my page. So I'll scroll up and click Save Layout so I can see my block. All of the blocks have pre-styling to them. So as you can see for this one, the subtitle, went into capital letters, and then we have what I like to call an eyebrow here to add some branding to our pages. Next, we have the highlight box and the rotating highlight box. So let's start with the highlight box, and then we'll explore the rotating highlight box, but they are very similar. So again, I'm clicking Add Block and then Add Content Block, and I'll choose a highlight box. So I have a few more fields here than I did for the body text, but again, I have a title. Now I have a pre-title and a body. Now I can add media and 2 links. So first I'm going to add an image by clicking Add Media. Again, this is going to bring up the Drupal media library, and I will choose an image to add. Next, I'll add a link. So you can so let's paste in a link if I wanted to link to WPI announcements. I'll just copy this link from the browser, paste it in the URL field, and then I will provide some link text. Link text should be descriptive for where the link is taking the user. So if I'm linking over to view more to the announcements page, I'm going to write something such as view more announcements. Within the link field, we also have attributes. The first attribute that I have here is the link target. The link target determines whether the link is going to open within the same window or open in a new tab. Best practices follow that if the link is internal, so if the link is in wpi.edu, it should open in the same window, which is the default option. So if you don't go into the attributes and choose a different target, it's going to default to open in the same window. If you're linking to an external website outside of wpi.edu, then we should go into the link target and choose New Window. Because I'm linking within wpi.edu, I'm going to keep it within the same window. Then we have the option to add another link here if necessary. Now we can decide on the media location if I want it to be on the left of the information or on the right. So let's keep it to the left, which is the default. And then next we have background color. Our background color options are white, gray, or black. I'm going to choose white for our first highlight box. So I get a quick little preview here. And if I click Save Layout, then I can see my highlight box here. Now, if I go back into the layout, let's look at those block actions that we talked about in the first couple slides. So if you hover over your block, you'll see this pencil icon here. And if I click on that, then I can configure, move, remove, hide, or clone my block. So if I wanted to make a change to my highlight box, I'll click configure and I'll make a change to my body or the title, whatever it is that I want to change, and I'll click update, and then that's going to update my block. I could move it. I recommend using this move feature if you're moving a block from, say, section 3 to section 10, so that you don't have to drag it all the way down the page, but you can drag and drop the blocks. If I wanted to move it to a different section, let's say, let's add another one so that we have it. So if I go and say I want to move this to section 4, I'll choose the region. And I only have one option here because section 4 is only one column. If I was moving to section 2, because I have 2 columns, it's asking if I want the left or the right. So let's say I want it in section 4. I click move, and it brings my block down. But again, that's recommended if you're bringing the block halfway down the page, if you have to go pretty far. But if I wanted to bring it back up to section 3, because it's right there, I can just drag and drop. Our next block action is to remove. It's going to double check. Are you sure you want to remove your highlight box? I don't. So I'm just going to, oh, I deleted it. That's what I get for trying to be funny. I lost my block. But don't fret, I can just go up and say discard changes and click confirm. Because I had already previously saved it, my highlight box is still there. I would just lose any changes that I made in between saving it previously and deleting it. I think we had a couple more. We had remove, and then next we have toggle hidden. So if I click toggle hidden, because it's currently not hidden, it's going to hide it. So now my highlight box is hidden. If I save it, I don't see it. But if I come back into the layout, Drupal gives me this little hint here that says you have a highlight box here, but it's hidden. And then so if I click toggle hidden again, that's going to unhide it. And now I can see my highlight box again. Our last block action is clone. So if I click clone, then it will prompt me to add a description. This is going to be the block title. And then if I click clone, now I have a clone of my highlight box. Next is the rotating highlight box. So the rotating highlight box is going to have about all of the same fields as the highlight box. However, we can add multiple. So if I choose a rotating highlight box, then I'll fill out my title. And now this looks a little bit different because I have what are called highlight box slides. So if I fill out the pre-title and title here, I'm going to call this highlight box slide number 1. Then I have the same fields again here for the link text, as well as our attributes and media. So we have all the same fields that we have for a highlight box, except we can do it multiple times. We also have another option to display our media on top, left, or right. So this time I'm going to choose to display it on the right. Now I'll add another highlight box slide. This is going to be slide number 2. And again, I have all the same fields that I have had before. And I also have the background color option. This time, let's see how it looks with a black background color. I'll click Add Block, and here's a quick little preview of the rotating highlight box. So you can see that the rotating highlight box also has a separate title from the highlight box slide titles. So we didn't have that before when we were working with the original highlight box. This is because maybe we want to display a title for that encompasses all of this information that's not going to change with our highlight box slides. Next is featured links, also often referred to as buttons. So if I go in and I add a block and I want featured links, again, I have a title and the option to display or hide, a pre-title, and a body. And then down here, I have the fields for my buttons. So this looks very similar to the field that we had for links for the highlight box, right? We have a URL, the link text, and then some attributes. But here we're going to have an extra attribute that is the button type. So first, let's add our URL in, and we're linking to announcements. So we want to view more announcements. So we still have the target, but then we also have the button type. So it provides a hint here that lets you know that primary means red, secondary means black. So by default, the button type will be secondary outlined. That means that the button is going to be black outlined with a white fill. Let's say I want to change it to primary filled. So I'll have primary filled here. Then I could add another button. So let's change the URL this time and just go to WPI News and say explore WPI News. Then again, I'm going to change the attribute to be primary filled. I think that I recommend that when you're using multiple buttons within your featured links block, that you keep the same button type or color versus if you had one that's outlined black and then one that's filled red, those would clash. However, if you added another featured link block somewhere else down the page, and say you wanted the ones that were closer to the top of the page to stand out a little more, so you had them filled red, then the ones down at the bottom you had outlined black, that's okay. But buttons within the same featured link block should have the same styling. Then we also have a background color. I'm going to stick to white for now. Then I'll click Add Block, and I can see my featured links. For the interest of time, I'm not going to go through all of the different styling options for them, but I have provided a few different ones here, and the options will change based on the background color that is selected. Next is a timely box. The timely box is good for calling out information. By the way that it's styled, we have a red title and then an outlined box. So, sorry, it's all the way at the bottom. All right, so here's our timely box. We have a title and a body. So if you look at this, right, this looks exactly like our body text block. The body text block only had a title and a body, but this is going to be designed a little bit differently for being better at like calling out information. So if I click add block, we can see we have this red title and then an outline around our body. So I'll save that so we can see our timely box. Next is the accordion. Accordions are great for situations in which you have a lot of information that you need to display, but you want to condense it a little bit. So if I add the accordion block, again, I have the title. This is going to be the overall title of the block. Similarly to the rotating highlight box, this title of the block is going to encompass all of the information. And then we have separate titles for individual accordion items. So here's my accordion title. And then we have the title for the first accordion item. So let's call this item number 1. And I'm going to grab some lorem ipsum so that we can see how well this condenses information. So at first I only have one item here, but if I click add accordion item, then I get another item with some more fields. So I'll call this item number 2, and again, provide my information. Before we add the block, let's look at our options here. So we have the option to remove if necessary. And then we also have the option to start expanded. So if these are checked off, then the accordion is already going to be open when users visit the page. So I'll have the first one start expanded so we can see how that looks, and have the second one collapsed. So if I click add block, and then I'll go up and save it so we can interact with it. So as you can see, the first accordion item is expanded already. And if I want to see the second accordion item, then I'll click on it and it will expand to show me the information. And if I click it again, it will close it. So that's my accordion. Next is the quote block. So if I go back to the layout and add a quote, again, we have the title. Now we have some fields that we haven't seen before. So first we have a field to add the quote. Next is attributions. So who said the quote? So we can add multiple people for attributions. So first I'll add myself, then I'll add Ashley. I'm quoting you, Ashley. Next we have affiliations or company. So I'll put Worcester Polytechnic Institute for the affiliation. Again, just like the attributions, we can add multiple affiliations if necessary. We have an option for an image, and then we also have the option to pull in a profile. In the last session, I had some technical difficulties with this field because I think it's just that I'm not on our regular site, so it doesn't function the same. But the way this field would work is if you wanted to tag somebody's Drupal profile. So if I started typing my username, it will pull up my profile, or if I started typing my name, then a drop down would appear and you could choose that person's profile, so it would tag the quote to their profile. We can also add multiple quotes within the same block, or remove it. And then we also get to choose a background color. So if I add my quote block, you can see we have some styling here with these nice quotation marks, styling around the attributions and the affiliations. Next is facts and figures. So I'll let Ashley take over for this one.
Thanks, Mariah. So for facts and figures, it's Marcom who manages the facts and figures database page. It's the main page on the website that shows all the high-level stats about the school, about the academics. So the easiest way to find that is just Googling facts and figures WPI. We have the URL on this page as well that you can reference. So the way to use the facts and figures block is you're pulling stats that are listed on that main database page. So the best thing to do is to go to that facts and figures page, look through what's there, and then you'll know what is available to be pulled into the block on your particular page. Because as Mariah will show you in a minute, you'll be starting to type the name of the block. We try to keep stats no older than 3 years. So try to keep an eye on the stats that you're using on your page to see if maybe there's ones that could be updated, or maybe these are getting close to being more to the 3-year mark. So try to use ones as recent as possible, but you can also focus on ones that are more suited to your page. Having facts and figures on your page can add more credibility, more color to the page. People do pay attention to them, so that's another element that you can add. People generally add about 3 because it fills the space of the page, but it's completely up to you of how many can be on the page. You don't want to do too many, but 3 tends to be about the basic number. Okay, Mariah, take it away.
Thank you, Ashley. Trying to open the page. Oh, there it is. Okay. So as Ashley mentioned, if you look at this page, oh, sorry, I'm logged in so we can see everything. But if you open this page, you can see ones that maybe you want to choose from, not ones that say unpublished, because that means that they're in the database but not available. So let's hop over into Drupal and add those to our page here. So I'm going to choose facts and figures. Of course, I'll add my title, and then from this field here is where I'm going to pull them in. So for example, if I want to pull in this stat here, number 14, top game design programs nationally, I'll type, say, for example, 14. And then it will provide some options to choose from. So I'll click on that one. Next, if I want to add some more, I'll click add another item. Again, I want to pull in this one, that's number 12 most underrated colleges. It should take keywords. Okay, great. So if you have a keyword such as underrated that you saw on that page that you want to look it up by, you can use that as well. So we'll bring that one in, and then the last one is number 1 best online masters in engineering program. So I'll add that one, and then if you need to, you can use this remove button to remove them. And then we can choose a background color. Let's choose gray and see how that looks. And there's our facts and figures. So I want to leave some time for questions, but we do have a few more blocks. So I think I'll do one more block and then we can open the floor for questions. I'll cover the student spotlight, which functions very similarly to the profile spotlight. They're just pulling from different groups. So if I add a content block and I add a student spotlight, this is going to pull from our database of student voices. So let's choose a background color first. let's say gray. We have a header link, so this is going to display next to the header. This is optional, but if you say you had a page that was about all of your department students, maybe you would want to link over to that page and you would say, learn more about our students. Then we have this field here to pull in those students from the student voices. So, oh, I think I also had the same problem I did last time with this one. But it would function the same in the way that you would start typing a username or somebody's name. And oh, okay, I just don't have all of them. So if you started typing somebody's name, then it will provide some options to choose from. And if we add the block, then it will pull in that student's student voice profile with some information such as a little bit of their bio, their program, and a link over to their profile. So now I'd like to open up to questions. If you'd like to view tutorials on the blocks that we didn't have time to cover, we have a playlist with tutorials for every block that we have in Drupal. And we also have our our second knowledge sharing session that went over news, announcements, and events.
Well, there is the one question here about facts and figures, and I do think other people have had this question before, so I can jump in. Marketing vets stats all the time, and we have to go by some pretty stringent guidelines about what would make a good stat and what wouldn't. And it generally is, it depends on the reliability and the where it comes from. Let me look at what you're saying again. Yeah, actually, we can send you a different format. We use something that we call like a fake FNF block. We can send you the guidelines on how to do that. We'll include that when we send out all this information. It's just a different way of putting in a statistic that makes it look nice and presentable. It's not going to be pulled into facts and figures because that's more of a university-wide kind of thing. So I think sometimes when people want to put in an additional stat to the facts and figures, it relates specifically to maybe their department or division and might not be as much for the university. But yes, we will all remember that and Ashley, Mariah, if you can help me remember if we can send those instructions when we send out all this information. So folks can add additional statistics if they want. And yes, I don't know what that is. Thank you for letting us know that you see unpublished on the facts and figures page and you're not logged in. That could be a bug.
Sounds like a bug.
Yeah, thank you. We will look into that one.
Does anybody have any questions about the blocks that we went over, or if there's a specific block that you'd like to see again, or specific questions about using the layout in Drupal?
I have a specific question for like regarding one of the blocks under commencement for like ROTC. I've tried like adding like several images, like more than one, and it only lets me see one. So I don't know how to change that, but I don't know if that's a question for now or like I can just talk to you separately.
Which block are you using?
I would have to go into the website and like show.
Okay. Okay. We do have the option to display multiple images. So for example, we have the rotating highlight box, but something that's cool about the highlight box as well is that you can add, say you don't have like, you don't want to have multiple slides and each slide have its own content, but you can add multiple images to one highlight box. So here, if I
Yeah,
click on media
that's
again,
yeah, that's exactly what I have. So I have multiple images in
okay,
that layout, but then like when I go to the actual website, it only lets me see one image.
okay. Does it provide the arrows?
Yeah, like when I'm saving all of the images, like I can see the arrows and then I hit save and then I can only see one image, like the first one out of the 5 or 6 that I have.
Okay, that sounds suspicious. So you could reach out to me or submit a ticket about it.
Okay, perfect.
Does that sound good?
Or
Thanks for.
can I just like after this meeting, Zoom or something, and then I can show you.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So yeah, that's something cool about the highlight box. I wonder if what Roberto's saying, if that's a bug that's happening on the commencement page. Also for images, I will add a link to the presentation for Drupal image sizes, but we have a document of a spreadsheet for the appropriate image sizes for all of the different blocks. So as you can see here, so this first image that I had pre-sized specifically for a highlight box, but these ones for to test this out, these were not sized appropriately. So you can see how the container is expanding for the image, but we want to stick to one one appropriate image size. Oh, Ashley provided them in the chat. Oh, I think the link is broken because it's from a Chrome extension.
Question about
That's
that.
okay. It's also located under the CMS help desk in help.wpi.edu. So if you went into our knowledge base here, you'll see Drupal images. And so this will also provide you with the spreadsheet of the image sizes. So for example, what are we looking for? A highlight box. It'll tell you a highlight box should be 500 by 300. And images should be sized appropriately before adding them into Drupal. We have a tutorial on using Adobe's online free image resize tool, but you can, depending on your machine, you could also resize them on your computer, whatever works best for you, but they should be sized appropriately before adding to Drupal. Is there anything in particular that others would like to see? If not, then I can jump back into our presentation. I know I skipped over a few things. Maybe we can go over the media pane. This one is a little bit more complex because we can add images as well as this is great if you want to have a video embedded on your site. So let's see, let's go into the layout and add a media pane. So of course I can add an image to my media pane. Again, please refer to the Drupal image sizes. So I think that this one will give us a media pane somewhere. But if we want, we could add an intro copy, a background color if necessary. I'm going to keep it to white and then click on add media. So again, Drupal media library, we can choose an image or we can also add a video. So let's first do an image. Here's our beautiful WPI Valentine. Or we can add a video. So let's do this again. And over here on the left-hand side, I'm going to click remote video and I'm going to add a YouTube link. So let me hop over into YouTube and say on our CMS help pages, for example, we embed some of our tutorials. So if I wanted to embed the tutorial for how to log into Drupal, I'm going to copy the link for this YouTube tutorial and then paste it into this field here and click add. Now I have a few options. I have the title, the video URL, which I can't change because it's linking to this specific video, and a caption. So for the title, I'll say how to log into Drupal. And then a caption, I'll say to log into Drupal, visit wpi.edu/user/login. If I click save, this is going into the Drupal media library of videos. Then I'll click insert selected and save my block. And now my video is embedded into my page. So you can see that the video, not only can you link to a YouTube video from, say, maybe the featured links, but here the video will play directly on the page without the user having to leave your page. They're continuing their experience. Does anyone have any questions about the videos or media pane? The same goes for you can add a video to a highlight box as well, following the same steps. But if you want to embed a video into your page, I recommend using the media pane. I think it's the best way. So far, if there's no more questions or if no one wants to learn more about any of the blocks, thanks everyone for coming, and we'll send out a communication with the recordings that we'll upload to YouTube, as well as the presentation to refer back to everything.
Thanks, Mariah.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.